Suez Environnement is one of Europe's largest water companies. It generated revenue of more than 12 billion euros last year, but utilities are often seen as safe havens in times of economic downturn. Now, as governments tighten their belts, this one might be different. How will Suez cope? Well, to find out, we are joined by the company's CEO, Jean-Louis Chaussade. Thank you very much indeed for coming to see us this morning. In these times of austerity, particularly here in Europe, is there a concern that spending on infrastructure will be one of the first things to be hit, and that will be a problem for your expansion?
Well, as you know, Suez Environnement, as you said, Suez Environment, it's an environmental company involved in water and solid waste. Do we have any major concern? Well, of course, yes. If we see the GDP growth going down, it could be a concern. But in the meantime, if public spending are reduced, it's an opportunity for us, because it means that you will still have needs, you will still have regulations, and if you do not have public money, then you will use private money. And Suez Environnement has a good balance sheet, it has a good financial structure, will be happy, if necessary, to provide some private money to do some big infrastructures.
Oh, interesting. So you'd actually see it as an opportunity to be involved privately?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, what about Australia and Asia? An awful lot of investment out there, and a lot of opportunities for your growth and expansion.
Which is clear is that if in Europe, should say the situation is difficult, in Asia, especially in China and in Australia, the economies are really booming, and we have a lot of water utilities in China, for example. And just to give you a flavor of what is happening there, the growth in terms of water demand was in the range of 20–25% in the first quarter of the year.
Wow.
It's really huge. It's a combination of growth and also the fact that a large part of the Chinese population is going now to cities. 48% of the Chinese population today live in cities, and the forecast is that in less than 20–25 years, probably 65, two-thirds of the population will live in big cities.
And there's no problem there with public spending. The Chinese government has put a huge injection of cash into things like infrastructure for water, for waste, yeah?
It's absolutely right, yes.
And what about Australia? That's also a big market for you.
Australia, of course, it's also a booming economy. It's an economy which is very linked in terms of growth to the Chinese economy. A lot of raw materials used in China are coming from Australia. But in Australia, you have an additional problem where Suez Environment is active, is the fact that they are running out of water. It's a country which experience really shortage of water due to a very long-standing drought in the last 10 to 15 years, and therefore additional technologies such as desalination, such as reuse, are necessary today to maintain the affordability of water resources, and therefore the possibility for the country to continue to grow, because if you do not have enough water, then your GDP could be reduced. And 2 or 3 years ago, Australia reported that they have been losing, or they lost 1.5% of GDP growth due to the lack of water.
Right. And how environmentally friendly is desalination of water rather than other means?
If you look to Australia, clearly all the big cities today are equipped or are in the process of being equipped by big, large desalination plant. We are building a big one in Australia, in the southwest of Australia, in Melbourne, a big plant of 450,000 cubic meters. It means something which is able to bring water to 3 million people.
Now, what about BP? There is a huge cleanup underway. Are you involved in that at all?
No, for the time being, we are not involved. Of course, Suez Environment has some available technologies. We are one of the European specialists in terms of removal of contaminations. We are doing that, for example, in UK in Chesterfield, which is a big site, industrial site, which contamination is in the process to be removed. We have been doing that in France, elsewhere in Europe. So we have technologies available.
So if you've got the available technology, why aren't you there?
probably because you have a lot of people involved actually, and I imagine also that a lot of people are trying to bring also solutions. So,
okay, are you tendering? Are you talking to the US government about getting involved?
No, for the time being, no.
Okay, well, you would like to get involved, perhaps?
Why not?
Indeed. Thank you very much indeed for coming in and talking to us today.
Thank you so much.